television programming. Situated in the serene environment of Guzape, Abuja FCT, TVN, as it is fondly called, caters to a wide variety of audience via carefully orchestrated mind-blowing programs in the areas of fashion, business, politics, entertainment, religion, movies, food and health, culture and lifestyle, events around the globe, sports and foreign news. Whatever your inclination, we've got you completely covered with programs like Issues of the Moment, The Patriot, Daybreak Nigeria, Mata Africa, TVN Business Time, Healthy Living, From the Cradle, Stay Inspired, Entertainment Gist, Movie Hour, Hit Paradise, among others. All designed to keep you thoroughly informed, entertained, at the edge of your seat and yearning for more. A tour around our domain will reveal a highly dedicated staff force and a state-of-the-art facility and equipment for high-definition quality broadcast, making our station your number one choice in advertising your business and propagating your ideas. We are currently on NightComSat doing a test transmission for takeoff in the nearest future. Television Nigerian is located in Nigeria at Television Nigerian House, Guzape Hilltop Mansion, beside Guzape White House, Guzape Abuja FCT, and in the United Kingdom at 45 Ancient House, 48 Aerodrome Road, Beaufort Park, Colindale, London. For inquiries,
Good morning, this is Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria. My name is Messi Joe.
And my name is Elvis. Remember to always follow our live feed at www.tvn.news. Good morning, Messi.
Good morning, Elvis.
It's actually looking so bright, so measure with the brightness of the day.
Are you sure? I think bright is behind my name.
Wow.
Well, I think over the weekend, Jigawa recorded lots of cases of deaths, mysterious deaths going in the community,
Yes.
and people did not understand what's going on. But the thing is that the fact that there is no evidence to what is actually leading to this death doesn't really mean that there is actually an absence of evidence, because people are not understanding what is going on. The mysterious deaths, I think, has already tallied up to almost 100 cases in Jigawa State, and the people are saying the symptoms that these people got before they died is not related to COVID-19. Well, we can't say much about that. I think NCDC needs to come in, all the State Ministry of Health should come in to actually get autopsies and realize what's happening to those people there again.
So, like, if you remember what happened in Canada, when we had similar issues, when the death could not be traced or the cause of the death could not be traced, they resorted to verbal autopsy. But we have to look at what happened in other parts of the world, like Italy and other countries. When they were at the peak of the pandemic, we saw those mysterious deaths, but later it was traced to COVID-19. But like you earlier said, the state health ministry needs to come on board, and even other concerned authorities or bodies need to come on board and see how they can be traced.
Because the case in Kano cannot be overemphasized. People are not understanding and saying that, oh no, those people are not dying of COVID-19, but the government is saying the people are dying of COVID-19. So which do we believe and which do we listen to? Most people are saying that the hospitals in Kano State have been shut down, so people that even have diabetes or other illnesses cannot even come to the hospital to receive treatment. Imagine someone that usually comes for dialysis. How can that person do that when the hospitals are shut down? When the person dies, you say it's COVID-19.
So possibly we could say the state government did not lie when they say not all cases were out of COVID-19. Like they mentioned of people that actually come for dialysis and the hospital shut, they could not actually get their treatment. So we could say that the death could come from that angle.
That angle, not just COVID-19.
About the 19, a whole lot happened in River State. With Governor Newsom, we cannot leave in anything unturned, leaving no stones unturned regarding the lockdown and guidelines.
Yes, I remember on Friday we talked about people about cars being impounded by Governor Wike, and he putting out the cars for auction that same Friday, saying that they're going to sell those cars for a lesser price, and that will serve as a deterrent to offenders of the law.
Okay, but the big story is making headlines today is the demolition of a hotel in River State, which
hotels.
Hotels.
Yeah.
Which Wiki said that because they violated the executive order number 6 in River State that has to do with the lockdown.
Yeah.
And he said there was much attention on hotels because the index case or hotel was one of the reasons, or is one of the places that they had one of the cases that came out of the COVID-19.
Yeah, and people are actually talking about what law is he following to say that the hotel should be demolished. And he said in a statement yesterday night, an executive directive is the same thing as following the law. But so he brought out warnings before then.
True.
I do not want bars opened, hotels opened, any gathering opened at all. And these business owners still go about thinking it's going to be business as usual. Whatever I'm going to do now, I'll still do, and nothing will happen. I think that was the case that happened. But then, let's say from the brighter point of view, Nigerians are stubborn.
Yes.
So it takes only a stubborn action to tame Nigerians.
True.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, like it could not be better said. To an extent, Nigerians are stubborn. So we need these stiffer hands or very strong hands for us to be tamed, like you said earlier. But we're trying to look at it like we all know that. Like the other day, I appreciated his doggedness, and I was talking about, okay, if we could actually lay our hands on a copy of this executive order to know that the penalty that is supposed to be meted out on people who violate this, then we could actually tell if that move was totally right or to an extent is condemnable.
Yeah, people saying that even if he was going to take that action, he should have probably just sophisticated the building alone rather than demolishing it. Take the keys away and for a while
make them pay a fine.
Make them pay a fine. Probably take them to jail for about 6 months. That would be better than demolishing someone's hard work.
So that's more like a loss upon a loss.
Yes, but then if you had listened to what the governor said, I don't think that person would be put in that situation.
Interestingly, from River State, we've actually seen Governor Nyesom Wike actually came out to do some barricade that would block the state entrance point. And another important issue, or very funny issue that happened, it's a manager of PHED that donated some relief materials to people in the state, was actually caught driving around, and Wike ordered for his arrest to be taken to isolation center. And people are wondering, is the penalty for violating lockdown resulting to being taken to isolation center?
Yes. You see, it still boils down to what we're saying. The measures that are being taken, some quite funny, some quite annoying, some quite very important.
Okay, now let's take a look at Nigeria considering receiving COVID-19 from Madagascar. COVID organics from Madagascar.
I don't know, lots of noise are being made about that cure from Madagascar. People are saying that if Madagascar is seeing this cure, then Nigeria should actually think of receiving them, getting them into our own country. But what do you really have to say? I mean, they're saying malaria treatment is also inside. You understand? So if it's actually there, I don't see the reason why we shouldn't get them over to Nigeria and see if we can actually cure about probably 50% of the cases in Nigeria.
Because sometimes back when we talk about looking into what Madagascar is doing to get it right, we were looking at, okay, because the health minister actually talked about Nigeria who is looking at or weighing that option of trying to seek helping hands from Madagascar. But on the other hand, we've seen people who came out to say they have similar herbal treatment for COVID-19
here in our country.
So we're
actually taking them serious.
We're actually looking at governments looking into making those things popular and see how they could be satisfied or certified so that we could use them as well. And we looked at how the Madagascar got it all good or got it all right. First, it was endorsed by their president, and then we saw people like Donald Trump trying to commit resources into research on how well those things can be harnessed. Yeah.
I personally admire the president of Madagascar.
True.
He not being intimidated by whatever WHO has said, still going all the way out to say, we have found the cure. This is going to be the cure, and we are using it for our people. I mean, they have recorded no deaths. They have no deaths. Their cases is still, it's not, their cases are not yet still up to 300 cases, and they have no deaths. They have, their number of recoveries are more than half. Very high. So that means they're getting something right. But then, our country, Nigeria, if our government listened to the people in our own country as well, saying we have this cure, we need financial assistance to make it something worth it, clinical trials going on and on, why can't the government look inward our country? I mean, they say charity begins at home.
Rightly said. It's about that time we go to the news desk to see stories making rounds in the entire universe. And we have Susan. So, Susan, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Mercy.
Good morning, Susan. You look like the First Lady herself.
Oh, really? I'm flattered.
You're flattered. All right, so I'm sure
what's on the news today?
Of course, lots of things making rounds in the news, from COVID-19 to business and also the entertainment world.
Seems like COVID-19 is always number one.
Of course, for now. I hope that's not the case very, very soon.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you. More details. Good morning and welcome to AM News. I am Susan Achin. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control on Sunday confirmed 248 new COVID-19 cases in Nigeria, bringing the number of confirmed COVID-19 cases to 4,399 nationwide. According to the agency, Nigeria also recorded 17 more deaths from the pandemic, taking the country's death toll to 143, with total recoveries rising to 778. Now, 160 Nigerians who were stranded in the United States following the coronavirus lockdown have returned to the country. A plane carrying the returnees arrived on Sunday at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport in Abuja, the nation's capital. The Boeing 787 Ethiopian airline plane touched down at the airport in the Federal Capital Territory at about 11 a.m. hours after departing the Newark Liberty International Airport in New Jersey. The Lagos State government has shut 2 facilities in Badagry West LCDA of the state for contravening new guidelines issued by the government to operators of hotels, clubs and other entertainment outfits in the state. The facilities include Maggie Hotel and Tambari Theatre at nightclub. This was disclosed by state government in a tweet via its official handle. Special advisor to the governor on tourism and arts and culture, Mr. Solomon Bonu, said amidst the lockdown, the nightclub has become a place for immoral activities. Meanwhile, some good news has been recorded in Lagos as 21 COVID-19 patients were discharged by the Lagos State government on Sunday. According to a tweet on the verified handle of the Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the recovered patients who are Nigerians include 4 males and 17 females. From Lagos, we now move to Rivers State, where the government has demolished 2 hotels in the state allegedly for violating the lockdown order in the state. Governor Nyesom Wike personally supervised the demolition of the structures in company with some government officials on Sunday. The affected hotels are Protest Hotel in Alude and Etemete Hotel in One, both in LMA local government areas of the state. They were demolished 3 days after the Governor Wike directed officials of the local government task force to identify hotels operating during the lockdown for demolition. 24 additional almajiris that were repatriated from Kano State and 2 health workers, 1 each from Rashid Shakoni Specialist Hospital and the Federal Medical Center, Birnin Kudu, have tested positive for coronavirus in Jigawa State. This brings the total number of almajiris that have tested positive in the state to 40, as confirmed by the State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Abba Zakari. According to him, 76 of 100 almajiris whose samples were collected tested negative. And there's more good news as Kanu COVID-19 index case ambassador Kabiru Rabiu has been discharged after testing negative twice. The state coordinator of the COVID-19 rapid response, Tijani Hussaini, confirmed this. Mr. Hussaini said the former diplomat was discharged from Kwana Dawaki Isolation Center on Sunday morning after he fully recovered from the disease. Now, in Kaduna State, security agencies have successfully tracked the 2 COVID-19 positive persons who fled their homes shortly after they were notified of their test results. Commissioner of Health, Dr. Amina Baloni, has confirmed that both of them are now at the isolation center. The Kaduna State Ministry of Health had earlier warned the 2 persons who tested positive for COVID-19 to submit themselves for treatment at the isolation center, mandating security agents to track and fish the 2 persons before they spread the virus to other members of the public. We now move into the world of business, where Fintech Association of Nigeria FAN, in a bid to support its members to weather the storm of economic and business impact of COVID-19, has engaged in strategic discussions with 15 sectors that make up its 126 member institutions. These include banks, startups, insurance, financial services, payment, incubation and acceleration, lending, consulting, education, and financial bodies. According to the association president, Dr. Shegun Aino, and the management led by Dr. Babatunde Obrima, the engagement will help prepare members for post-COVID-19 challenges and opportunities. And on the entertainment scene, popular Nigerian singer David Adeleke, better known as Davido, has taken to social media to celebrate 9 years of being in the Nigerian music industry. Davido, no doubt, has come a long way in the music industry from his early days, in which Damiduro was a hit song everyone danced to, all the way down to his A Good Time album currently rocking the airways, and our fingers are crossed as we await his A Better Time album as well. Well, Davido dear, and of course, congratulations to him. And that's it on AM News. I am Susan Achin.
Yeah, a lot of news.
Yeah,
So much
stories.
Yeah. What do you expect on the Monday morning? Because a whole lot
Well,
happened.
during the
over the
weekend,
weekend.
yes, so it's well expected.
I'm looking at the Kaduna cases, the two persons that escaped.
I have a question. Why are these people
Escaping.
escaping? This is becoming too
Do
frequent.
you know
Beside that question?
One thing with the peculiar case with Kaduna State is the fact that these people were actually isolated at their various homes, awaiting their results. So the moment the result came out positive, they had to flee because they never wanted to be taken to the government isolation center for treatment. So, like you asked,
The question now coming.
Yeah, what is
question
making people
beside
not to
yeah.
want to go into?
And the
the
question
isolation
beside that question is, why is the government allowing these people to escape? A question I should ask
Shouldn't there be
shouldn't-
people
yeah.
that should...
Like he said, they have been isolated in their homes even before they
Even
got
before yes, of
the
course.
positivity of the results. Now the question is, how and why should text messages be
I was
sent
coming
to
to that.
people?
I was actually coming to that.
What are you really expecting?
Why are they being sent
No,
messages?
when you see that this patient has tested positive, you convey your vehicle, then go to the
They should just go
person's
straight
house,
up
straight to the house, and
and
pick
pick
the
them
person
up.
up.
I think
It's the
government-
same thing that happened in Borno State.
But the government is actually looking at it from the angle of people even turning themselves in for isolation. You know,
In the first place.
Yeah, like the case of the chairman of that communications.
Yeah.
When
He
he tested
went
positive,
to-
he was the person that took himself
Himself
to the
to
isolation
Babalaga,
center.
yeah.
So ordinarily, with the level of awareness that's going on, if Nigerians truly want to help the situation and help the government, we don't need to be forced before.
But this now brings...
But
Now, if you're talking about the director of Jack Communications, he's an educated fellow,
Yes.
you know, and he knows better. But we're looking at some people that are not necessarily educated. We're looking at people that are mostly illiterate. You know, they are seeing they are feeling stigmatized. They don't really understand that this is not a death sentence.
Yes.
They need to be treated. They do not see that this is for their good. So it still boils down to me to the issue of education, educating the populace, the masses, especially
Yeah.
those that are
Exactly.
less educated.
Now, I'm seeing the Kano case, that recovered.
Recovered in
Now-
The index case.
Yeah, the index case. Now, survivors. Can we possibly have a situation where the survivors come out to
to
give us
speak.
full details
Yes.
of what went with them, how
What
they
happened?
felt, what happened? Now, I was listening to news yesterday, a Borno State survivor. He was talking about, I started having sore throats, and the sore throat gradually led to diarrhea. Now, that's the first time I'm hearing the diarrhea part. Because
That wasn't
we
there
just
before.
hear of the flu, from the flu to
The
pneumonia,
cough,
shortage
you know.
of breath, and all that. But I'm not hearing diarrhea for the first time. So that means there's more to
There
it.
is more to
So
to
why
it.
don't they get the survivors to actually sit them
mean-
down, talk to us more? How do we really understand? Because it seems like most people, even the flu, when you start having the flu, it doesn't mean that you have COVID.
It doesn't necessarily mean that
The
issue.
it's quite rational and logical to think towards that line, even though we've seen people come up to
Yeah.
give
Some people have
testimony
come out
of
like, I
what
think
the
they're gonna
past
be
We want to hear more.
We want it more official.
Yes,
Yeah.
more
like you
official,
said.
yes.
I think that way Nigerians could actually know when to give.
We want to hear it,
whether
see it,
it's COVID-19
yes.
or any other fever.
Yes,
We want a
yes.
regular Nigerian, you know, to come out and speak out and say, this is what I went through and this is what
Yeah.
happened. Let them be given exclusives, you know, where they get to tell the public how it went, how they felt. It will encourage people to
Yeah.
make them see that this could be treated.
It's
This
not
is
a
not a
death
death
sentence.
sentence.
I mean,
you don't need to be stigmatized.
I don't
You
know.
don't need to run away from
I don't know
isolation
who else saw the news of the 65-year-old person that recovered in China from
Yes.
COVID-19 after 62
I mean,
days.
at that age,
At that
after
age,
62 days.
We
And
see-
it was actually an intense case.
Yes.
So it means that there is even more hope than
Can
we
we
can
think?
imagine.
We can imagine. So we actually need the survivors to
Yes.
come out and talk to us, tell us what's going on, how.
Okay,
Yeah,
similar,
Marjories.
apart from that, okay, let's talk about the
Marjories.
because it has been one
This is
issue.
becoming
Yes,
very
moving
disturbing.
them from one state to
To another, why?
And then it looks more like a cycle,
Yeah.
like a state that is taking Almajiri out has Almajiri being deployed
from that down.
Now, what do they
that
now
state.
do? All these Almajiris, when they come there, where do they stay?
Where do they
Because most state governors are now talking about their isolation centers not being dumping ground. I mean,
Yes.
Gombe state governor, he made that statement. Their place not being dumping ground.
And
So now,
you
what do
see
you do
from
with
presidential
Almajiris?
task force the other day, they were talking about the movement of this Almajiri being a violation to the president's
Yes.
constitution.
So how are they moving? That's
Now,
another
look at
question.
the drivers.
We are making these laws, contradicting them, and making more laws, and there's a lot of back and forth here and there, and there's a lot of gray areas here and there, because that's a very very sensitive question you're asking.
You
How are
get
they
drivers
coming in?
with trucks to move these Almajiris from one state to another state. Now, those drivers somehow may have come in contact with these Almajiris and they test positive.
And the only ones.
Do you understand?
Vehicle, there might be
other people in the vehicle
also
traveling, smuggling
around.
other people out of the state, and they go back to that particular state, and they now end up infecting other people. So how are they really helping situations at this point in time?
A similar case in River State happening in Lagos, where some properties were actually confiscated and sealed
Yes.
for violations of these guidelines.
But there's a difference in measures.
Yeah,
So which is preferable?
Like, I think it went the way you were suggesting earlier.
Yes, earlier
having
on.
this thing confiscated and then make these people to pay fine.
Yeah.
Yes,
Probably
it
take
would be
them to
better.
jail
We
for
need
6
some
months.
money. We need money. We are fighting.
We really need
COVID-19.
money, so we
a
need
lot
to
of
get
So
money.
I think the more confiscations we get and find people, the better. Wiki is actually he sees extra. We all know that. We're not new to his extreme ways anyway. But I feel like, I mean, dogged people require dogged leaders so that we can have things can be done faster,
Yes.
and we can have more results.
I
So
like
that's
that.
Wike's way. And you will not tell me that people in Rivers will not sit on.
You
can't tell me that.
There's always
The
going to
next
be a
time
difference.
the warning is coming up, I mean, definitely.
People
There's always
will
going
be
to
more
be.
careful
See those
and they'll
cars?
tread more carefully.
I wish I was in Port Harcourt.
Very interestingly, celebration coming from the camp of Davido for 9
Oh,
years in the
yes.
industry.
Yeah.
We all remember
Congratulations,
2011.
Davido.
When
Congrats.
he started with the Davido and back and stuff,
It's
he
quite-
actually came out with his debut album Omo Babalo that
Yes.
earned him the
Yeah.
OPO title
Yes.
and all of that.
I'm sure he never saw the journey
I
coming
see-
this far.
Yeah, no, he didn't. And I see the video becoming actually a timeless, someone whose music will be timeless. Because if you play Damidoro somewhere, it doesn't sound still to me.
Yes, it still doesn't
Next
sound
time,
like
that's some actually
He's quite
very
a
good
timeless
content.
artist.
But one interesting thing about his journey so far is the fact that the journey has been so, did I say, without blemish to an extent.
Yes,
that
it has
9
been
years feels like it's
pretty-
just 1 year.
Seriously, I feel like
I was
Damidoro
surprised
is
when I
like
heard 9
yesterday.
years. When I heard 9 years, I was like, already
It's
now.
not like Baby Davido is already here. I mean, but anyway, a lot of news rising from here, but we got more news, and that's why we're going to go across Africa. Please stay with us.
Welcome to News Across Africa on Daybreak Africa. Malawi's Supreme Court confirmed Friday that last year's presidential election remains nullified and a fresh vote held in July. The Supreme Court upheld an earlier ruling by the Northern African Nations Constitutional Court that President Peter Mutharika's 2019 election was invalid because of widespread irregularities. Mutharika, who leads the Democratic Progressive Party and the National Electoral Commission, both appealed against the Constitutional Court, ruling the Supreme Court. A 7-member panel of judges denied the appeals on Friday. The Supreme Court also said it wanted the election to be held earlier, but reluctantly agreed with the Constitutional Court's initial time frame, so that the date of the new vote remains July 2nd. It was just the second time a presidential election in Africa has been overturned by the courts, following the courts which ruled against Kenya's election results in 2017. Barely a week since President Magufuli of Tanzania said the country was interested in COVID organics, the Malagasy preventive curative portion for coronavirus, a consignment delivered on Friday, according to reports. The donation comes days after the Republic of Congo and the Democratic Republic of Congo received their donations. Equatorial Guinea and Guinea-Bissau have also been served. The Guinea-Bissau consignment, according to Malagasy President Andre Rajoelina, was a donation for the West African bloc ECOWAS, but the group this week said it had not ordered for, nor does it recommend, the untested and unscientific medication. The Democratic Republic of Congo announced Thursday the partial reopening for pedestrians, a border post with Zambia. This followed a day's demonstration against this preventive measure taken in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The demonstrators were protesting against the closure of all land, air and sea borders since 20th of March by the government. Pedestrians will have to comply with preventive measures. This includes wearing of masks, temperature checks, and social distancing. Kasum Balisa has registered one case of COVID-19 from a Congolese man returning from Europe. Congolese small-scale traders cross the border illegally at night, but controls along the borders have been tightened over the past days, said civil society activist PRA Wepo. A court in Bahida, northern Ethiopia, has sentenced the country's former communications minister and close ally of late Prime Minister Meles Zenawi to 6 years in prison for corruption. Barakat Simon was arrested in January 2019 at his residence in the capital Addis Ababa and taken to Bahida, capital of Amhara region, the second largest of Ethiopia's 9 states. He has been in detention since. Barakat was found guilty on Tuesday. Some of his supporters said the charges were politically motivated. He was a powerful figure in Mr. Meles' administration and was often described as the chief ideologue of the ruling coalition, the Ethiopia's People's Revolutionary Democratic Front, EPRDE, which came to power in early 1990s. In 2018, his party, Amhara Democratic Party, ousted him from executive committee membership. This is the much we have for you on News Across Africa. Daybreak Africa continues shortly with Elvis Oga and Miss Joe. I am Josephine Paul.
Coronavirus no be our friend, yo. Yo, yo, yo. Make we push am comot, yo. Corona, he no be our friend. Yo, yo, yo. Say make we push am comot, yo. My country people, you see this coronavirus, no be joke. Make we help ourselves and our government pursue this yamayama sickness from our country. Make we remember to wash our hand every time with soap and water. Make we no forget to sanitize our hand and wear face mask when we come out. Also, make we avoid crowd and keep social distancing when we come out. My people, if you see say you don't get symptoms, make you rush go hospital make them treat you. Coronavirus no be our friend though. Make we remember say prevention better pass cure. Coronavirus no be our friend though. Yo, yo, yo. Make we push am comot yo. Corona, he no be our friend. Yo, yo, yo. Say make we push am comot yo.
Welcome back. This is still Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria. You just listened to those news across Africa there. We'll now take you straight to the newspaper review segment where we check out headlines from some of the national dailies. And from the Daily Sun, which is the first newspaper I have here, we have headlines. Beside the nameplate, Wike demolishes 2 hotels for flouting lockdown directive. As communal clashes escalate, 8 killed, houses destroyed in Taraba. COVID-19, doctors raised the alarm over low testing rates.
So despite the COVID-19 being on the rise, people are still finding one way or the other to having communal clashes. And I don't understand. Even yesterday in Cross River, there was a Lebanese that was kidnapped by some people, and they were asking him for money. I will finish all your money today, we'll take all your money. But despite that, God being so nice, he was rescued by the police operators.
Recall what we talked about when we had the invasion of the 1 million boys against the Mushin boys, and we're trying to talk about, okay, these people are not even scared of getting together in a clumsy environment, when they expose themselves to high risk of infection of the COVID-19. And now to an extent, that one is even related to COVID-19.
Yes.
But communal clashes, what has it got to do now that we're trying to battle a very deadly pandemic and people are out there engaging in communal clashes?
Yeah. It all boils down to people are not seeing the severity of COVID-19 as the virus, and that is now in Nigeria. People are still taking it as child's play. I hope we all take measures because if the case of community crisis can still be busting out, and what more do we expect? Crisis, coronavirus.
Like you rightly said, as a people, no matter the differences we have, we just need to resort to dialogue and settle things amicably.
I think now is the time to promote peace and unity amongst us. Let's move to the Guardian newspaper. On the headlines, 17 FG airports not viable, may shut down over losses. Facilities incur 26.1 billion naira deficit in 3 years. How to overcome challenge by stakeholders. Below the picture nameplate there we have fresh lockdown may hurt economy. Now I'm very particular about people talking so much about the economy, forgetting that the economy is the people. The people is the economy. When the people are not there, where is the economy that we talk about?
Well, like you talked about, we've been actually talking about the pros and cons of a fresh lockdown.
Yeah.
Like because when the lockdown was gradually eased, we saw that people did not actually adhere to the guidelines, risking another lockdown. But like you said, we have to lay them side by side: economy versus the health of the people. But we're talking about, okay, if we are saying because the health of the people, we should still remain in lockdown. It will get to a point, if the economy is not running, maybe the government we're depending on will come to a point where they cannot even have that funds to cater for people again.
Yeah.
So we'll have to look at it from both angles and see how we'll come about it.
I think it's a situation of different different governors taking different measures in different states. I mean, you cannot compare the measures that they should take in Kano State with Lagos State. I mean, in about 55 days, that was when Lagos recorded about 500 cases of coronavirus. But in less than 55 days, that's 28 days, that was when Kano State recorded 500 cases. So you see, different measures to be taken in different states, and this is where leadership plays in. If you say you're a leader, this is where you should be thinking faster.
Still talking about different measures from different states regarding the state of the health or the level of infection in these different states. That's from the health angle. Yeah. Now I want to look at it from the economic angle. We've been seeing reports where there were projections that if we continue like this, the federal government may not be able to give the monthly allocations to state, and we're trying to look at how will the state become independent at about that time. Nigeria has actually been yearning for state governors to look inward to see how they can generate resources from their own state.
Right then.
Away from that, let's take a look at headlines from the Daily Independent, and the banner headline here says response to COVID-19 bears WHO's guidelines. That's World Health Organization. Lagos discharges 21 more patients. Shuts hotel. FCT discharges 46. Ekiti get 3 new cases. Federal Medical Center Abeokuta confirms death of policeman. Bauchi cases rise to 161. Kaduna records 2 deaths. Kano discharges index case and 10 others. And federal government evacuate 116 nationals from U.S. Let's talk about the evacuation of people from United States.
Yes, and then now putting them in 14 days isolation. But my question has been, are we talking about shortages of test kits, not enough test kits in the country? Yeah. Is that why they should be put in the isolation centers for 14 days? I would have loved to see a situation where the federal government, as these people just came in, just test them and know their status, because there are not enough bed spaces. We're complaining of bed spaces, so they should take different measures as far as I'm concerned. If you can just, they landed, try to test them, let them go their way. If they're positive, who is positive goes their way, who is negative stays behind the isolation center. This is like a measure. Yes.
Who is positive goes to isolation, who is negative goes there.
Exactly. So you see, too much coronavirus. But the thing is that here, they should just test who needs to be tested quickly and let there be free bed spaces. If we're complaining of bed spaces, then that's a measure they should actually take.
In as much as that is considerate enough to an extent, but recall that this particular ailment or disease we're talking about has incubation period of 14 days. So what if the person contracted it yesterday and arrives in Nigeria today, and you test him or her today, and maybe it tests negative, but he has it already, but has not taken up to that 14 days. So like from managing the bed spaces we have, that could be logical, but it's more like maybe trying to getting ready for a bigger picture. Why just letting away the smaller picture? So I think it's not out of place for these people to stay in isolation. Even the Almajiris that have been moved from one state to another, they're actually being kept in isolation for 14 days before they have been discharged.
Anyway, let's move to the Nation newspaper. Too much talk about coronavirus.
Okay.
Still on coronavirus, Madagascar's COVID-19 cure drugs sent to Nigeria. NAFDAC orders to carry out analysis before testing. Governors seek volunteer health workers to battle the virus. Below that, foreign investors free to repatriate funds, say CBN. I'd like to take a look at the governor seeking volunteer workers to battle the virus. Now, I think earlier on this program, sometime we talked about health workers now reducing because of the number of health workers
being infected with the virus.
So the fear is if these health workers are being infected so more often than normal, are there going to be volunteers that will actually come out and say, yes, I want to come and be a volunteer for corona, for frontline? How many we want to come out, actually?
Initially, before the health workers were being infected with the virus, we've actually seen a shortage of health workers.
Yes.
The federal government actually are projecting recalling retired health workers back to the field. But this is where our unemployment is going to tell on us. Like you're asking if people will actually be willing to come and be frontliners, health workers.
Yes, at this point in time.
It depends. There's unemployment. People really want to make money, or people want to just do something that will make them make ends meet. So if there are enough incentives to motivate these people, stimulus to motivate these people, we'll actually get to see health workers. And then there are people that want to do this out of love for humanity, or maybe trying to be heroes in their different fields. So what we have to advocate for is that, okay, if these governors are actually clamoring for volunteer health workers, they should be adequately cared for, like provision of personal protective equipment and every other thing that's needed to be put in place to ensure that these people does not have much risk or does not come face to face with this deadly virus.
And the prayer is that the volunteers or the people that may think that they want to volunteer, the federal government does not begin to give them a reason to lack trust in them.
True.
Because we have seen over time situations where you cannot trust the federal government, so people cannot come out to say, okay, let me be a volunteer, because they feel that their life is going to be at stake. True. For instance, the PPE, if they're giving it to all of the health workers, I see no reason why they should get infected, because you're putting core health workers and other health workers in the same section. True. But just about few of them get this PPE. So what are you expecting? Okay,
from the Punch newspaper, home treatment will increase infections. NMA warns, and nurses warns. World Health Organization opposes treatment in crowded homes. Critical case won't be treated at home. That is coming from the Lagos State government. 3 patients positive, 14 Abuja doctors, nurses in isolation. We also have federal government saved 361 billion naira from IPPIS despite opposition.
There's a lot there.
Yes, like the issue of the federal government saving a whole lot of money from the IPPIS. Recall that they were actually at these loggerheads with the ASU when they were made to undergo this process. And the federal government said this has to deal with the issue of ghost workers. Yeah. And most people will not want that, because we know that people actually put these ghost workers on so that they could be taking money from them. That is one aspect of the corruption we've been talking about. So it's one of those devices or medium that is being devised to fight corruption in the system, so that we don't have ghost workers taking money when we're trying to manage our lean resources at this particular time.
Yeah. All right, because of time, let's move to this day newspaper. CBN assesses funding requests for Nigeria-made COVID-19 vaccines. I think below that, federal government is set up panel on implementation of oral science reports. Above that, global stock market loses $18 trillion to pandemic, says report. That's a lot of news.
Yes, like we were discussing the implementation of Orosanya's report,
yes,
where several ministries or departments are to be merged. When the present administration came on board in 2015, one of their measures they adopted in trying to run the government is trying to see how they could cut cost of running the government,
yes,
which actually we saw the merger between Ministry of Works and Housing and Power, then under former governor of Lagos State. Then we actually having this. One thing we love about this, or Nigerians are actually trying to see, although it's attracting reaction from different angles, is the fact that, okay, this is a report.
Mostly from the lawmakers.
Yes, this is a report that was submitted during former President Goodluck Jonathan's era, and then President Muhammadu Buhari is coming to implement it because he saw that it's good. This is one thing we've not really seen from Nigerian leaders in the past, where somebody comes on board and discards every other policy that is not of his. But we've seen Buhari actually took up project from the past and has been completing, and is actually blocking wastages or dealing away with the issue of wastages. So it's a good one. We would like to employ Nigerians to actually look at it from that angle. But from other people that are trying to look at it, maybe it will cause job loss.
Job loss for who?
For people that have been in these department, ministries or agencies. So Nigerians are actually looking at it.
Yes,
from that
and some Nigerians are happy that that is going to be happening to them because they see situations whereby the normal man does not have the jobs in Nigeria, but then you see this ministry people, they're so much in their jobs, so active. Most of them do not want to leave. They stay there for about 20 years, 30 years, not given the opportunity for the younger ones to come there. So I think this Orosanya's report.
Nigerians will be happy if it's implemented.
Yes, I can see some people dancing.
Okay, now let's take a look at headlines from the Daily Times. We have the banner headline here, which says PDP, BMO bicker over federal government's handling of COVID-19 pandemic. Buhari's incompetence responsible for spread of virus in Nigeria. That is coming from PDP. No president setting transparency standard beyond PDP imagination, says BMO. Okay, people are trying to look at the time where our airports were shut and the way the federal government has actually handled the COVID-19 so far. The main opposition party is looking at it like we did not do much from the onset, because I recall that there were times they were actually calling for the closure of the airport and even land borders as well, but we did not get to see that on time. But we have to look at it from this angle. We are not dealing with foreign transmission or border transmission. It is not communal transmission. Are we trying to say that, okay, had it been those things happen, we wouldn't have even had issues of border transmission before talking about community transmission? The
thing is that the foreigners that were coming into the country, I mean, our first case was not from a Nigerian itself, it was from an Italian. Yes. So imagine a case where Buhari actually came before that February, said no more movements into our country or outside our country, probably interstate traveling and all that, but then no more trips from the beginning of February, because I think it was kind of like a joke to Nigerians about the coronavirus, thinking it's just something that was going to be an outside situation, not knowing it will eventually come into our country. So I think there were some measures and steps that the federal government should have taken quite on time. If not, this wouldn't have escalated. And people are saying probably before that confirmed case of the Italian, there are already coronavirus patient cases in Nigeria. Possibly,
and we've had a government of functional representatives go out for official duties, and they could actually have contact with people that have had this
and
virus.
that cost us our dear chief of staff, Abakari.
Chief of staff. And apart from that, we're actually looking at, okay, you know, like we cannot excuse the phrase of being caught between the devil and the deep blue sea. Okay, like the how do I call it now? The aviation industry have actually come out to talk about the much they have lost within this period of airport closure, and they had just imagined that we have implemented this before then. What will our economy be looking like at the moment?
True. I'd like to cut you short. Let's quickly take the Business Days newspaper.
All right.
States coronavirus fight showcases the good, bad, and ugly, So I think that's talking about how various states governors are handling their cases, probably mostly looking at the Al-Majri cases and how people are rejecting them. That calls for human rights violation as well there. So people cannot say much emphasis about this.
Yeah.
All right, this is still Daybreak Africa here on television Nigeria. Let's go to healthy living on foods that boost a child's brain. I'm sure you want to see that. I want to see that.
True.
Welcome to another episode of Healthy Living. Today I'll be talking on foods that boost children's brains. A child's brain undergoes an amazing period of development from birth to 3, producing more than 1 million neural connections each second. The development of the brain is influenced by many factors. As fast as children race from classroom to activity to home and back again, their brains are just as rapidly growing and changing. The foods that they eat are important. These years are critical for brain development, and what they eat affects focus and cognitive skills. Want your child to do better in school? Take a close look at diet. Certain brain foods help boost a child's brain growth and improve brain function, memory, and concentration. Eggs. Eggs are a rich source of protein and also contain good amounts of chlorine, a nutrient that is necessary for the proper function and development of the brain. One of the best facts is that eggs are extremely versatile. The protein and nutrients in eggs help kids concentrate. Fish. Fish is a good source of vitamin D and omega-3-5, which protect the brain from declining mental skills and memory loss. Salmon, tuna, and sardines are all rich in omega-3-5. The more omega-3-5 we can get to the brain, the better it will function and the better kids will be able to focus. Apples and plums. Kids often crave sweets, especially when they are feeling sluggish. Apples and plums are lunchbox friendly and contain quercetin, an antioxidant that may fight decline in mental skills. Milk and yogurt. Milk and yogurt also provide a bigger punch with both protein and carbohydrates, the preferred source of energy for the brain. Milk contains vitamins that benefit the neuromuscular system and the overall life cycle of human cells. Lean beef, meat. Iron is an essential mineral that helps kids stay energized and concentrate at school. Lean beef is one of the best absorbed sources of iron. In fact, just 1 ounce per day has been shown to help the body absorb iron from other sources. Beef also contains zinc, which helps with memory. For vegetarians, black bean and soy burgers are great iron-rich meatless options. Beans are an important source of non-heme iron, a type of iron that needs vitamin C to be absorbed. Eat tomatoes, red bell pepper, orange juice, strawberries, and beans to get the most iron. Avocado. Avocado is full of monounsaturated fats, the good fats that kids actually need in their diet every day. In fact, it's recommended that 25 to 30% of kids' calories come from fats, primarily the unsaturated ones. Avocado goes over well with kids when served as a spread on wraps in place of mayonnaise or cream cheese. Ripe avocado is a perfect baby food spoon straight out of its peel. Sweet potato. This pod is one of the most nutritious vegetables around. The vitamin A in sweet potatoes keeps eyes healthy and acts like an antioxidant in the body. Sweet potatoes are a favorite among babies because of their natural sweetness and bright color, but they are often forgotten once kids get older. Finally, water. Although not a food nor containing any nutrients, water is important for hydration, which helps to maintain blood flow and oxygen transport to all parts of the body. Dehydration can cause lethargic irritability and reduced ability to stay alert and concentrate. And that is the much we have for you on today's episode of Healthy Living.
You're still watching Daybreak Africa on television Nigeria, and that was tips on healthy living concerning foods that boost the children's brain?
I know of beans so well because when I was growing up, my mom was like, beans will help you grow. Because I think there was this fear that I was not going to grow so tall. So my mom would be like, if you don't know, if you keep eating beans, you get taller. And then I think there was a point in time I developed the liking of beans because of that. I want to grow taller. I want to grow as tall as you.
Oh my God. It's actually a good one because, like you said, personally, I grew up to love beans, and so I love beans, and I ate beans a lot way back then, and I'm still eating beans. So that could actually explain the height, apart from hereditary, because my both parents are actually tall.
So you're saying I should be eating beans again, right?
Probably. And then talking about different classes of food containing different elements, like the eggs.
The eggs containing protein, development of the brain,
fish with omega-3.
Yes, and it gets rid of memory loss.
Yes.
And
even apples that has that antioxidant.
Yes. And then since children love sweet things, sugary things, I think that's where all those fruits come in place. Mango, pineapple, and what have you, and then milk and yogurt, actually a good source of protein.
Talking about avocados, and you're telling me you don't like avocado. Actually, like the calmness, like the way it relaxes your nerves and all of that. And then they were actually talking about water that helps irritability. That's how you adapt to situation. You know, as a child, if you're growing up, it is your irritability or response to stimuli that actually make you to have this uptight brains and all.
Dear future daughter of mine, I'm very ready to make your brain at ease.
Wow.
So let's go to amazing Africa and see the land of no man.
Amongst the Samburu tribes of northern Kenya, where the desert merges with the foothills of Mount Kenya, women have been living under a harsh patriarchal system for as long as they can remember. Female genital mutilation has been one of the most important rituals amongst the Samburu for generations. Once circumcised, a girl can be given away in an arranged marriage to start her own family. This practice has seen girls as young as 12 get married to men old enough to be their grandfathers. 25 years ago, a group of fed-up women led an exodus and took matters into their own hands to free themselves and started a movement in the Samburu region, creating the first village where no men were allowed. The establishment of Umoja was an inspiration to many women in neighbouring villages who have risen up to take control of their local governments. We are on our way to the Umoja village, which is an all-female village which started in 1990 by a woman called Rebecca. Rebecca Lola Soli is the matriarch of the Umoja Women's Village and an advocate for women's rights. Growing up as a member of the Samburu tribe, she married at the age of 18 and began speaking up about helping women who were victims of rape by British soldiers training near her home.
Kuna semina tulionyesha unagunja nini nguo hivi alafu naweka kitambaa hivi kanguo alafu nachona design hiyo nini hiyo pads alafu tunafaa.
Thank you so much for telling me, because I've been wondering the whole time I'm here. I'm like, what would I do out here if I came on my period? Rebecca's influence on women in the Samburu region has created a trickle-down effect of woman power. Fueled by the matriarchal uprising, long-standing traditions that threaten the women of Kenya are being challenged. With access to education and their own income, many Samburu women are taking the future into their own hands for the first time in history.
When they call us women, it's like a dirty name. We walk and we talk and we laugh. Let us show them that we are happy. And we have to be proud we are women.
Amazing fact there about Africa, the land of no men.
Yes.
But like we were talking about these traditions and culture that were practiced way back then, but with the constant evolution and the more knowledge being acquired by men, and which Africans are part of them, we've seen some of these things go extinct, or trying to see that some of those things are being moderated now, like the case of female genital mutilation.
Yeah.
We've had so many international organizations come out to condemn it, child marriage. And then, interestingly, all female village.
Yeah.
I actually grew up to hear stories
Yeah.
about a village where there was something really disastrous happened to all the men in the village, and then left only the women around. So till now,
it's more like,
it's more like a mirage.
Yes.
If they see men around, so if you're a man and you're walking around that village, you need to be very careful.
Very, very careful, because I can't begin to imagine a situation where a 12-year-old is getting married to someone old enough to be her great-grandfather.
Like we've actually seen that from even this part of the world. Sometimes that spark up a campaign, a child not bride. You remember way back then?
We know.
Yeah,
we know.
So these are some of those things.
I think they had to just protest. It still goes a long way to talk about freedom. Freedom to our girls, freedom to our boys, freedom to the men, to everybody. We need freedom in our life, freedom from whatever it is.
It's such an amazing moment, and that is the much we can take on Daybreak Africa for today.
My name is Messenger.
And my name is Elvis Oga. Join us tomorrow. Let's do this again. Until then, it's a bye-bye from us. Have an amazing week.
And do remember to stay safe.
Daybreak Africa is your one-stop top-notch breakfast show that brings you all the interesting stories happening in and around Africa.
Because we have all the morning essentials,
including the latest news, sports, weather, and events. And of course, the people.
Daybreak Africa on Television Nigeria.
Weekdays, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.